Hello, how are you doing? That's my car. Just taking a walk down one of my favourite places. It's really nice and peaceful down here. And just to have a chat with you really. A few of you have been asking why we moved off the boat when we had the boat back in 2004. It was actually, it was a build-up of different things. The problems with the boat weren't really helping. But I mean, to be honest, the boat company were being absolutely fantastic. As you know, they flew over the craftsmen and put everything right. And you've got to expect snagging on a new boat. We knew that. I think the combination was we were stuck at the winter mooring because of the work that was going on in the boat. So we couldn't really move very far. We were kind of just stuck at Stanley Ferry and King's Road. And of course we had workmen on the boat. But we weren't working, we hadn't made plans to work while we was on the boat. So we were kind of just sat there really, spending money. Getting a bit stir crazy, going out and spending money. I don't think we quite planned properly what we were going to do. And because we couldn't go anywhere because of the workmen on the boat, we couldn't sort of go cruising or anything. But it started to have an effect on me. It started to bring things out in me that were stressing me out. And to cut a long story short, I had a breakdown. Not really, I mean, you can't really call it a breakdown. It was more of a meltdown and a breakdown. It was a bit of a nervous breakdown. And it kind of brought some things to a head that got me thinking, and Shaun as well, that weren't just to do with the boat. And I've always been that little bit different. Foibles, as Shaun calls them. And so I started getting some tests. And my GP said that I kind of showed quite a lot of autistic traits. Not straights, traits. Nothing straight about me. I was diagnosed with high functioning autism. Used to call it Aspergers Syndrome. You've heard of Aspergers Syndrome, haven't you? Well, that's what it is. It's like a high functioning form of autism. I don't have problems with writing and reading, and my manual dexterity, although I can be pretty clumsy, I'm okay. So I'm defined as very high functioning. The positives are quite good. I'm very focused. My IQ is quite high. Though you wouldn't think it to look at me. My IQ is quite high. And I've got a very good memory, what they call an eidetic memory, where I can remember things from years ago. I can remember bank card numbers, expiry dates, all the things like that from like every account I've ever had. How does this link into the canal and everything? Why did we move off the boat? Things get to me, anxieties and stress, and it all leads to kind of depression, and then ultimately I have this big meltdown. Not like a meltdown where I throw a tantrum in a supermarket, more of a just complete exhaustion. Depression and stress and anxiety just really have that much of an effect that my mind closes down. It just stops. Literally just stops. And I'm just kind of non-responsive. No emotion, just nothing. I'm just this kind of shell. And that's what happens. That's how it gets to me. And luckily it doesn't happen very often now. It used to do. It used to happen probably every few months, weeks sometimes. Now it's maybe once a year if I'm unlucky. And it happened when we were on the boat. It just all kind of built up, and eventually I just melted down. And we didn't know that it was the ASD, the Autistic Spectrum Disorder. We didn't know it was that at the time. We just thought I was having a breakdown because of everything that was going on. So we came off the boat and bought a flat, and we did some travelling as well. And eventually I kind of came around a little bit. But it started happening again, and that's why I got diagnosed. But the negatives are pretty torturous, to be honest. And the thing is, I mean, it's always been like this for me. I've never known any different. And it was absolute hell when I was a kid, because Asperger's, it did exist, but it wasn't really, you weren't diagnosed with it. There was no support, there was no real diagnosis when I was a kid. And because I was always different, school was just hell. Used to get bullied every single day, every day, all day, playtime, dinner time, home time, class time. I just used to get ripped apart. I hated it. And my parents didn't know what was going on. They just thought I just hated school. I did hate school. But it was more than that. It was just hell. It was just absolute sheer hell. Couldn't wait to get away from the place. So I used to come home from school and just go to my room and just sit there and wait for it all to start again the next day. Not good. And that's not a good place to be as a child, I don't think. But it does kind of give you coping strategies. It helps you to get through the situation and to learn how to deal with it. And I think as an adult that's helped me. Because as much as things can affect me still now, I don't say I cope with them better, but it's just you learn to cope. That's it. You learn to cope, full stop. Imagine like your brain in complete overdrive all the time, analysing, super analysing, mega analysing. Every decision you have to make, everything you do in life has got a million different outcomes, and you're constantly trying to think out each outcome. So the brain is kind of in hyperdrive all the time, overthinking every single decision. Even silly decisions like, what do you want for lunch? It's simple, but it stresses me out. And that's very stressful, because when you're in a work situation where you've got to make decisions, that can be difficult, it can be stressful. And I do believe in this kind of spectrum principle of it. Some people are affected in one way to a certain extent, and other people are affected way more in a completely different context. And I think the way it affects you as a person changes. That's why it's a spectrum. That's why some people are more affected by autistic traits on one part of the spectrum than they are on another. For me, it's a little bit like sexuality. I think sexuality is a spectrum too. So people are defined as being straight or gay or bisexual. And I don't believe in that. I think that's a spectrum too, where you've got some people that are very, very straight and would never go with anybody of the same sex. Some people that are gay and would never go with anybody of the opposite sex. And the greedy ones in the middle that'll do anything. And then you've got the ones in between. It's like parties. I'll say to some people, I can't stand social situations, don't want to go to parties. But it's like just the mention, just somebody kind of saying, do you want to come to my party? My insides are like kind of rock, just so tight with the stress of thinking, how am I going to get out of this? I can't go to a party. I can't even go in Tesco on a Saturday without running out in a panic. I can go to Tesco to get my lunch, and if I don't know what I'm going in there for, it's too busy, literally will come running out with the first thing I've got in my hand. I went in for lunch and came running out with a bottle of vanilla Coke and a tin of beans. There you go. But parties are just the worst, social situations. And it's not just in crowds either. Just one-to-one. If you see me one-to-one, my insides are going to be so tightly wound up just talking to you, just trying to think how to respond, what to say, am I saying the right thing, what's going to come next. Just things like that. And that just stresses me out so much. And that constant kind of pressure all day, every day, means by the end of the day, I'm just completely mentally exhausted. Just trying to cope with it every single day. And you never see any of this, you just see the smile. I'm the wrong side of 40, 46 shortly, soon. Might already be 46 by the time you see this video. And it took me 40 years to get a diagnosis. And I didn't change after diagnosis, nothing changed, I didn't get better. But I knew exactly what was going on. Shaun could start to learn what was going on, and we learned that a lot of things that were going on were actually just part of the condition. And you learn how to cope with them. You learn to spot signs and signals and be able to stop things that cause such stress, like sending me to Tesco on a Saturday afternoon. That's not going to happen again. Like going to parties, things like weddings and funerals. The stress and anxiety that those things cause are just huge. You wouldn't believe it. Honestly, you wouldn't believe it. And if one person sees this, that's me, aged 13, sat at home in the bedroom, scared to come out, thinking they're different, not knowing why they're different, you've probably got a great brain. You've got so much potential. And you need to know that there is no such thing as normal. We're all completely different. And I think we all need to love each other for who we are and love others for who they are, instead of labelling. I hate labels, really hate labels. I think we're all just so unique, and that needs to be celebrated. And I don't think anybody should need to feel bad about themselves. And so maybe if I let everybody I know what's been going on, you might not feel that bad if you're suffering, or if you know somebody that's suffering. That's the theory anyway. That might be complete rubbish. Well, what if it happens again when we get the boat again, which is not far away now? What's to say that the same things are not going to happen? That we're going to have stress? Of course we're going to have stress when we move on. We're selling a house and buying a narrowboat. Of course there's going to be stress. Is that not going to trigger it again? If any problems on the boat are going to happen, are they going to cause it to happen? Sorry, a bee's harassing me. Well, who knows? I mean, it might happen. It might not. We don't know. But things are different this time. Like we said in that first video, things are so different. We've got social media now, hence I'm talking to you. I can do vlogs. I can spend time on social media promoting and talking about the boat and everything. And I want to get more involved in the boat. I want to learn how the boat is made. If we're having a new build, I want to be involved with that. If it's a used boat, I want to be really looking into the electrics and the plumbing and the build, so that I have more confidence that if things go wrong, I'm going to know what to do. I want to learn what to do. I'm really good at soaking in information. Remember back eidetic memory? So I'm good at things like that. And that combination, along with going out to places like this, I love it. Barking dogs, noisy neighbours, loud music, it really does my head in. Part of my ASD means that my perception of things like noise and smell are a little bit different to how you probably perceive it. If we're watching TV and Shaun starts playing, I don't know, a YouTube clip on his phone, I hear both at the same volume, even though his might be really quiet. And it does something to my head. It hurts. It actually physically hurts. If next door's dog starts barking, it actually physically hurts. It's weird to describe it. But out here, and I know not all the canals are going to be like it is here, but there's a lot more places like this to moor and be than there is by living in a house. And that appeals to me. I can come out, this sort of environment just does something to my senses, and it calms me, like it would you, it would calm you. But the ASD is literally killing me. I'm not exaggerating. Shaun will tell you this. The stress and the anxiety catches up and just causes physical problems. I've had stomach ulcers, still have problems with my chest and tightness. I think I'm having a heart attack a lot of the time. And I know there's medication for anxiety and stress and depression. But my depression is brought on by the excess anxiety, the constant, literally 24-hour anxiety. So, because it's a lifelong condition, do I want to be taking medication that is going to alter the chemicals in my head That's not going to be a normal life, is it? I don't want to do that. When I can just change my lifestyle and live free of medication. Surely that's common sense, surely. I mean, depression is depression, isn't it? I wouldn't really say that my depression is any better or worse than anybody else's. Sorry, avoiding the trees. It's the same depression, and depression is torturous. Sympathy with anybody that suffers from depression. I know how crippling it can be, but I don't want to be on medication all my life for that. I want my brain to be its natural self, to be me. I'm very creative and imaginative. I think I've got a good sense of humour, and I don't want that limiting through medication just so that I can live in a house and work 60 hours a week. What if they suddenly one day discovered a cure for ASD? It made the stress better, it made the anxiety better. Would I want it? I don't know. I think ASD kind of makes me. I'm not ashamed of it, and that's not the reason that I've never told anybody about ASD. The reason I've never told anybody is because I don't think it's something that, it does affect me, but I don't think it's something that affects you too much. I know I'm telling you now, but that's because this is the story of why we left the boat in the first place, and it's maybe a good time to talk about ASD, because at the end of the day, ASD results in mental health issues such as anxiety and stress and depression, even meltdowns and breakdowns. And mental health is kind of a trending topic at the moment, isn't it? So maybe it is a good thing to talk about. And you know what? If you meet me, when you meet me, if you know me, you probably meet me anyway. If you don't know me, but you just started watching these YouTube vlogs, then you're going to meet me one day. I'm sorry in advance. But don't ever be ashamed to talk about it. Just don't invite me to a party, because I won't come. So what are the lessons? The lessons, I guess, are don't be ashamed to talk about mental health. Don't be ashamed to go get help. Being diagnosed with something doesn't make it better or worse. For me, it improved my understanding of what was going on. And I think for Shaun as well. Looking forward, this is why we want to move back on the boat now. The lifestyle, the environment, the knowledge of what caused it in the first place, and being able to learn from that. And because, like I said before, my hyper-thinking brain that overthinks everything at 1,000,000 miles an hour has been thinking about this constantly for 14 years, as Shaun laughed in the first video to tell you. And we have been thinking about it that long. And like we said in video number 1, time is now right. I think the time is right. We've been to Crick this last few days, met some new friends. We know exactly what we want from the boat. And there is going to be stress. There are going to be arguments. But I'm actually feeling positive that we'll get through it. I'm going to post this video and I'm actually really dreading the response. But feel free to comment or just click like. Subscribe. You know what us vloggers are like. We like it when you subscribe. So please subscribe. If ever you meet me, don't ever be afraid to talk about it. Yeah? If I seem shy and kind of not looking you in the eye and seem distracted or messing about on my phone, you know it's not because I'm being rude, you know it's the ASD. Sometimes it really gets to me. And the next vlog, I promise, is going to be about boats again, alright? Take care. See you later.